All right, I think we are here live on Facebook. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. School is back in session. It's been a while since we've done our Cannabis Night School. We've missed you all so much. But yeah, we're back. And thanks for joining us all tonight. We're just gonna wait a few more minutes for some more viewers to arrive. So just sit tight with us. Get all adjusted here. All right. And hello again, everybody. Welcome to all those joining us for tonight's Cannabis Night School. We'll be covering medical cannabis and breast cancer awareness month, and also speaking to just, how cannabis can help patients, that are suffering from either breast cancer or other forms of cancer. We've got some really great guests tonight, some really fun content. So thank you again for being here. We'll be getting started shortly. We'll just give a couple more minutes, guys, so just bear with us. And thank you all again for joining us this evening. Happy Halloween. It's coming up next weekend. I hope you guys have all your costumes picked out and your candy ready to go.
Julian, I am so ready for Halloween.
I'm so excited. Halloween is such a great time of the year. And the weather's been so great. So
yeah, my whole yard is decorated. I've got candy and toys.
Oh my gosh.
So excited.
I can imagine. I'm sure you go all out. I bet.
I get a little wild.
About the debacle of what are we doing for Halloween, Saturday or Sunday, like school night or
I want them to come both nights.
Yeah, exactly. Just make 2 nights.
Why not both?
Double dip,
Yeah, it's fine.
All right, guys. Well, I think it's time to get this underway. So without further ado, welcome everybody again to our 5th installment of Cannabis Night School presented by WholesomeCo and in partnership with the wonderful Utah Patients Coalition. We've took a little bit of a hiatus, but we're back and we're so excited to be here with you all. So thank you for coming and joining us tonight. Again, my name is Julian Miranda. I'm the Community Engagement Manager for WholesomeCo. I'm so excited to be here with you tonight, and I will hand it over to our other guests to introduce themselves.
My name is Kylee Shumway. I am the pharmacist in charge at WholesomeCo.
I'm Desiree Hennesey. I'm with the Utah Patients Coalition. Everybody's laughing at me right now, sorry. So Utah Patients Coalition is the organization that did draft the ballot initiative and passed it into law here in Utah. We continue to work on the law. So whenever there's anything in the law that a patient needs changed, we work with Senator Vickers and anybody that we need to work with in order to get those changes made for patients and even pharmacies if they need it. Right now, we have also started collaboratively with some of the pharmacies, a patient subsidy program. So where medical cannabis is not covered by Medicaid or even insurance, some patients find themselves completely unable to cover their medication. And so we have stepped in and have like a sponsorship program with these pharmacies where you can apply with Utah Patients Coalition. There'll be a link in the comment section. And, just kind of mention what your situation is. I always say, if you can give us the more information, the better. Like if you say that you're in pain, that's one thing. But if you say I'm in pain and, this is what it's, what it's restricting my life, it helps our volunteers kind of pick who is in the most need because we have a very small pool we can pull pull from right now. So just be descriptive when you apply. But if you know anybody also that needs help paying for their medication, get on utahpatients.org and apply for the subsidy program.
Beautiful, thanks.
Okay. Okay, are you done, Des? So I am Susie Morgal, and I have been working with oncology patients for the last 43 to 45 years. So I am an advanced practice nurse, and I have a wealth of oncology experience. And my goal when I went back and got my master's was to help patients primarily with symptom management. And that's a lot of what I do now.
Thanks, Susie. Hi, I'm Danielle Pendergrass. I'm a women's health nurse practitioner, and I'm also the owner and operator of Eastern Utah Women's Health. I'm so excited to be here with you tonight with this expert panel to help you guys learn more about what we can do to treat women who are going through breast cancer and also other types of cancer. So I cover rural Utah, so Carbon, Emery, and Grand counties. And it's been a joy and a pleasure to be part of this team tonight. Thanks for having me.
Wonderful. We are so thrilled to have you and Susie and everyone else here tonight. So without further ado, guys, we'll keep this ball rolling. Tonight's topics will include, or before we touch on the topics here, a quick little intro about WholesomeCo. So we are one of the licensed cannabis pharmacies. We operate out of West Bountiful. You can see our address there. We're open 7 days a week, Monday through Saturdays, 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. and on Sunday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. You can reach out to us anytime. And in addition to our excellent product selection and knowledgeable staff, we offer remote or virtual pharmacist consultations and free statewide home delivery. You heard that right, guys. We have 99% state coverage, and we also accept debit card as payment. So that's a little bit about us. Definitely come by and check us out. Tonight, we'll be covering a few topics surrounding medical cannabis and using it to help manage and treat the symptoms of not only breast cancer, but just other cancers in general. We'll be touching on the importance of Breast Cancer Awareness Month, how you can manage symptoms using cannabis, and we'll have Kylee give some product recommendations for us. I also want to just take a moment to sincerely thank Des at the Utah Patients Coalition, Susie with Empathetix, and Danielle from Eastern Utah Women's Health for being amazing collaborators and contributors to this presentation. So first, we'll start off by doing a little bit of recognition for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So just some quick stats, guys. 1 in 8 women, that's 13%, of all women in the United States will be diagnosed with breast cancer in their lifetime. This impacts either directly or indirectly everyone in this country, and so it's really important that that we're aware that this is a potential out there. There are over 3.8 million breast cancer survivors in the United States right now, and men as well. We're not left out of this. 1 in 833 men are diagnosed with breast cancer at some point in their life. So by no means are we out of the loop here. It does impact us as well. A couple things that WholesomeCo is doing this month in order to support breast cancer awareness is we will be donating a percentage of our sales during the month of October to the Susan G. Komen Foundation, as well as the Image Reborn Foundation, which is a local group here in Salt Lake City. And I'd love to hand this over to Danielle so she can talk to us a little bit more about the ways that you can do, or the things that you can do to, stay on top of a potential diagnosis and just kind of what that looks like. So Danielle.
Thank you so much, Julian. I love that we get a whole month dedicated to focus on our health and do all of the things that we can do to prevent breast cancer. Nobody wants breast cancer, and I understand it can be scary sometimes even to go in and get that mammogram, but mammograms are available pretty much to everyone. It does not matter if you do not have insurance. We have the Utah Cancer Program where you can apply at any health department and get a voucher and go in and get that done. For other women with insurance, it's just as simple as calling up your local hospital or imaging department and getting that appointment. Now that you've got your mammogram appointment, let's talk about things that you can do to prevent the occurrence of breast cancer. Number one is kind of to know your family tree. Like, we want to know our genetics. So out of 100 women who have breast cancer, about 10% of them will have a genetic predisposition to it. So it's good to know your relatives. Although we can't choose them, we can figure out what we can do about the genes that were passed on to us. So if we do get genetic testing, and it is shown that we have a higher risk for breast cancer, we can do breast MRIs along with more frequent breast exams and mammograms, and do some mitigating things, such as possibly be on a contraceptive method, and then all of those other things, such as, and this goes for anyone and everyone, making sure that you're getting some exercise, making sure you're able to sleep, managing and dealing with our stress, eating fresh and healthy foods, even though sometimes we want to go to those processed ones for a little pick-me-up, getting that exercise, and really having meaningful relationships with others. I just want to touch one point on men with breast cancer. We know that men they're at the higher risk for the genetic disorder that is passed down through generations. So men, pay attention to what's going on in your family as well, because you may be a candidate for genetic testing where we can ward this off. Again, early detection is the key.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Danielle, for that. That was a wealth of information there. And I love the holistic approach that you take, and just really just trying to be conscious and aware of, what's going on in your family. So that way you can, just monitor it a lot better and hopefully catch it before it becomes a problem. So thank you so much for that. Moving along, we're going to now chat about how cannabis can use to help manage some of the symptoms that come from cancer and the treatments of cancer. And so now I want to hand this over to Susie, who can explain to us a little bit about what this symptom cluster concept is, and then touch on some of the conditions, that or the symptoms that patients face.
Thanks, Julian. It is so wonderful to be able to talk to all of you guys, because when I was in my master's program, I started noticing through my research that cancer patients in general had nausea, pain, sleepless nights, hormonal effects, this, that. It just kind of seemed to be a hamster wheel that they could not get off. And so I started doing some research. I started talking to some of my other mentors as I was going through my master's program. And it was still early, but we coined the term of symptom cluster. A symptom cluster is like, let's say you have some nausea from the adriamycin you got, and then that puts you into not sleeping well, or the pain that comes from cancer treatment or the cancer itself. And then there's the fatigue. So it's just, there's so many different pieces to this puzzle, but they all seem to interact with each other. And how do we break that chain? And breaking the chain is what's going to help patients as they go through treatment have a better quality of life. And my whole focus throughout my whole cancer career has been, how do I help patients have a better quality of life? I remember back in the 80s when we admitted everybody because they were constantly getting sick. They were terrible pain. They could not function, and we had to give them their treatments in the hospital. And then in the 90s, after Zofran and all the other 5-HT3s, which is a group of medications, became available, they all went outpatient. And actually, I noticed in the 90s that when that happened, these people were now at home trying to manage their own symptoms. And so at that time of my career, I was a triage nurse, and I took these phone calls over weekends and nights from patients who had problems. And then I would try to figure out what was the best next thing to do. So it's a moving target. Everybody's different. Everybody's makeup is different. So somebody with chronic pain, is it visceral pain? Is it bone pain? Is it basically pain from the situation? And that is a very real thing. And then that translates into, oh my God, if I'm hurting so bad, I'm nauseated, it makes me worse. I mean, one symptom seems to interact with the other. Fatigue, specifically in cancer patients, comes from the cancer itself, no matter what it is, and the treatment. And then all the Oncology Nursing Society research has showed moderate exercise and symptom management and trying to reduce your stress levels and get better sleep and eat a better diet, which is hard to do when you're on cancer therapy. Everything tastes like cardboard. So it has been a very vicious cycle. And I think that's what you see here with, the cognitive disturbances is what has been coined and studied as chemo brain. It's like you're a fog, you have short-term memory loss. And then that fits into all the other things. So I believe that cannabis products can help alleviate or minimize to elevate the quality of life.
Gotcha. And so you've from some of the cancer patients that you've treated through medical cannabis, have you seen, that using medical cannabis products can kind of help with some of the conditions like chronic pain and nausea and fatigue, even though fatigue isn't necessarily a qualifying condition?
No.
The qualifying conditions of chronic pain or cancer and nausea do kind of feed into this symptom cluster of fatigue, and using medical cannabis seems to help those patients that are using it.
Correct. So go way back into time when I was a brand new nurse in the late 70s. I had a patient smoking cannabis on our phase 1 trial floor, and it was the best thing we had at that time to alleviate his symptoms. And there was no holds barred. There are products like Marinol, which is a synthetic THC that had been studied. I truly do not feel in my heart that it is a very good first, second, third, or fourth line product. It's way down the line. It seems to work better in AIDS patients. So I find that use of cannabis products with proper supervision and education seems to help patients survive through their cancer treatment. Does that make sense, Julian?
100%, 100%.
Okay.
Thank you so much. And Danielle, I was wondering if maybe you could speak to, how medical or how you have observed medical cannabis helping patients with, insomnia and mood swings or anxiety, which again are not are definitely not qualifying conditions in Utah. I do want to clarify that. However, these are kind of secondary symptoms that cancer patients often experience. So maybe if you could speak to that, Danielle.
Absolutely. And Susie, you are just a wealth of knowledge, and we're so fortunate to have your experience on this call and reaching everybody. So, well, on this Facebook Live, I should say, but reaching everyone, it's just fantastic. So unfortunately, insomnia is not a qualifying condition, but all of the things that Susie had just mentioned really leads to the insomnia. You're in that chronic pain, you're nauseated, you're so tired, but you can't sleep because you're in chronic pain and you are nauseated. So it really is this vicious cycle. And this is a very good diagram that's shown here on the cyclic nature of it. Then as we dive into mood swings and anxiety, we know, and there's tons of studies going on showing that just having the diagnosis of cancer alone really does increase your anxiety. And then I don't know about you guys, but when I don't feel good, sometimes I have a little bit of mood swings, coupled by not being able to sleep. And then here you go on this roller coaster ride again. So again, it is unfortunate that Utah is not recognizing these as qualifying conditions, but it's been my experience that especially women with breast cancer and all other types of cancer as well, it really helps with the insomnia, mood swings, and anxiety that are coupled by all of the other conditions in the treatment of breast cancer and other cancers as well.
Wonderful. So well put. Thank you for that, Danielle. And you mentioned there that there are studies that show that medical cannabis specifically kind of helps in multiple different ways. And so maybe you can kind of elaborate on that for us as well.
So it absolutely does. So oftentimes when we're going through cancer treatments, and I'm sorry I keep bringing up breast cancer, but not sorry, because I am a women's health nurse practitioner and this is what I mostly see, but there's a loss of sleep triggered by the deregulation of hormones from the cancer treatments. So oftentimes like we are treating, let's say, estrogen dominant issues. So we take away the estrogen, whether that's with a hysterectomy, removal of the ovaries, or the medication such as tamoxifen that we're putting people on. And it really throws people into menopause, throws out their normal hormonal cycles. And we can throw serotonin in there, we can throw dopamine, we can throw all of those other like feel-good chemicals that our body naturally makes. It changes those hormones, which makes it very difficult to get a really good night's sleep. And then that triggers even more so the anxiety and depression. So it's a well-known fact, right, that medical cannabis helps to relieve anxiety. I mean, we use it to treat PTSD, and I just can't imagine what a cancer diagnosis would feel like. It would feel like PTSD to me. And so we know that studies show that it works for that. And so it's just another tool in our toolbox to be able to give to people going through this very difficult time, not only managing their symptoms, but managing the emotional effects of, what's going to happen to us, what's going to happen to our families. And so there's some good studies along with that.
Wonderful, wonderful. And Susie, I was wondering, if you could speak to, especially since you kind of are dealing with patients while they're undergoing treatment, and on the palliative care side, speaking to some of that nausea induced by chemotherapy and other symptoms that result from a cancer diagnosis.
Yes. So thanks, Julian. And Danielle is right. She brought up some really great points that patients have all these things bombarding them at one time. And it can spike stress, it can spike anxiety, it can spike depression, it can spike all these, and that symptom cluster that we just saw, it can heighten everything. And again, it's that hamster wheel. How do I get off? How do I feel better? And so, what I have noticed in all my years of practice with cancer patients, treatment can induce these hormonal changes. Adriamycin, Taxol, the classic drugs that we use for breast cancer patients, induce a chemical menopause. We do not want you to have hormones when you're going, we don't want you to have estrogen. We're trying, because estrogen feeds that cancer. And in male patients, like with prostate cancer, it's the testosterone. So it's not just breast cancer patients, it's not just prostate cancer patients, it's a mixed match of all the different patients we see, because cancer is not one disease. Even breast cancer is not one.
Oh, Susie, I think you muted yourself there.
Oh, sorry. Didn't mean to. I tried to refresh my screen. Anyway, so the point is, in working with your practitioner, whether it be your oncologist, the APP in the oncologist's office, your palliative care practitioner, which is becoming more and more, too many people feel palliative care means, oh, you're hospice. No, I'm not. In working with patients who are going through active treatment, they still have symptoms. And palliative means we're addressing those symptoms so that they can have improved quality of life and feel as normal as possible throughout this process. Because then you've got the other side, the survivors who start having the late symptoms of cancer treatment. And it's very individualistic, guys. Mm-hmm. No person is a cookie cutter. It's not a cookie cutter business. And if you see the right professionals, then we can help you through and navigate you through those twists and turns and tweak what works best for you. Conventional medication and non-conventional medication, which means complementary medication. And that now in the state of Utah means cannabis. So if you have cancer, you right there qualify for a cannabis card. And we can then try and address all these other symptoms under your cancer diagnosis.
Wonderful. Thank you, Susie. I think you brought up a couple really good points there that I just want to reiterate. The first being that when we're using medical cannabis for a cancer patient, first off, we're not curing cancer. I just definitely want to clarify, no one here is making the claim that we're going to cure, cancer using medical cannabis. However, it does seem to be extremely effective at helping to manage these symptoms, getting off that symptom cluster hamster wheel. And in addition, you said that it's not a cookie cutter. We're not dealing with a cookie cutter thing. Everyone is unique. And that actually kind of leads us into this next topic that we're going to cover, the product recommendations. Just like you were saying, Susie, everyone is unique. Different products are going to work better for different patients. for a variety of different reasons. And so I'd love to introduce Kylee now to just shed a little bit of light on some of the products that she often recommends to patients dealing with breast cancer or other forms of cancer. Kylee?
All right, so there's a bunch of products. You probably couldn't pick a wrong product when we're talking about cancer because everybody is so different. But these are some of the things that I find are helpful all of the time. All of my patients that I've given them to have they've helped them out. So the FICO syringes, which is full extract cannabis oil. And we have a bunch of different types. We have 1-to-1s that are a 1-to-1 of THC and CBD. We have 1-to-1-to-1, and that's THC, CBG, and CBD. And then we have high THC versions. With all of them, no matter which one that you pick, we always want to start pretty low. So with about 1/2 of a grain of rice sized drop. And you can put that directly in your mouth if you want to. You can put it on a piece of candy. You can put it on something you want to eat. You can put it on a piece of parchment paper and then freeze it. It's a lot easier to use that way because it is very thick. So sometimes people have a hard time dosing out the single drops every time. So if you put a whole bunch of drops in a row and dose it out that way, and then peel it off the parchment paper, it's a lot easier to dose. Generally with FICO syringes, I give those to my patients that are further along in their treatment or further along kind of in their disease. So they're really concentrated. They're very, very strong. So I always want to be sure that somebody has had, a little bit of some other cannabis products before we jump straight into a FICO syringe. If you'd never had cannabis before, if you've never tried it before, that's not the first thing that I would give you. We would probably start with the second thing on the list here, which is a 1-to-1-to-10 tincture. That is a really fabulous place to start. It has all of the cannabinoids in it. It's a great strength. It's a great ratio of products. It's a great ratio of cannabinoids in there. And it doesn't only have those 3 cannabinoids in it. It actually has all of them. These are just the 3 that they've made sure are exactly in that ratio. They do have some of the other ones in there. And with a tincture at that strength and that with those ratios, I'd probably start with 1/4 of an ml, especially if you'd never used cannabis before. After that, we have Rick Simpson oil, and that's kind of the OG original, what everybody was using for cancer treatments product. And we do have a couple in the market here in Utah, but it works almost exactly like the FICO. I do like them both. The FICO, I think, just comes in a wider variety of options. I have more options with the FICO than I do Rick Simpson oil, but we do really like Rick Simpson oil. I would dose it a lot like a FICO syringe. And then we have sorry, guys. Then we have a gummy that I really like, or a gelatinous cube. I guess we have a gelatinous cube that I really like. This is the 2-to-1-to-1 from Huga, and it is 2 CBG, 1 THC, and 1 CBD. So it's higher in CBG than it is in THC and CBD, which I think is great. There's been a lot of kind of talk about CBG lately being a really fabulous option for everything. It's like the mother molecule of all of the other molecules. So I think CBG, having that really high CBG, really helps like mood stabilizing, and then making sure to have that THC and CBD in there covers all of the other things that are kind of going on. It covers such a broad range of things that we're trying to treat in cancer. I think,
awesome.
do we have any questions? Did I not touch on anything?
No, I think you hit the mark. And I
Okay.
think I just wanted to remind patients too that these are all oral products. So just keep in mind, always start low and go slow, or just go off of your pharmacist's recommendations on how to dose. And just keep in mind too, these products can take upwards of 2 hours for you to feel the effect, and they will last at least 6 to 8 hours. So always use caution and tread lightly when you're using an oral product.
Oh, I did want to touch on you can use vape cartridges and flour are great for pain treatment, and they can be really good for nausea. There's just so many that I think it would be best to work with your pharmacist wherever you end up to kind of figure out what's going to be best for you for those inhaled products.
Wonderful. True. Yeah. You gotta, there's multiple options, and using those inhalation products, whether it's flower vaporization or the vape cartridges, that'll give you that instant relief while you're waiting for an edible product to take effect. So wonderful, Kylie. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, guys. Here are just some general resources and some of the studies that we were citing a couple slides ago. We've been putting these links into the chat, so don't worry if you don't have a chance to snag a screenshot. You can find all these links linked into our chat. And with that, we will open it up to a Q&A. So please, if you have any questions regarding specifically Breast Cancer Awareness Month, medical cannabis and cancer, or anything in regarding that, please submit them into the chat. We'll hang out for a couple more minutes to answer those questions. And while we're hanging out here, please make sure to give us a follow on social media. You've got WholesomeCo, Empathetix, Eastern Utah Women's Health, and Utah Patients Coalition. Follow us also on Instagram. You can find us there as well. And don't forget to give our home delivery a shot. Again, we have 99% state coverage. We've waived our delivery fees a couple months ago. So now there's no extra charge for placing a delivery order. And you can also use your debit card to make a payment. And lastly, we do have same-day delivery in many, many areas. So definitely give that a shot if you haven't already. And let's see if we have any questions coming in. Okay, still waiting on questions. Well, thank you so much, Zach. We do see the Delta 8 one. That's a whole other Cannabis Night School episode, but one that we would gladly be able to discuss. But we might have to dedicate a whole other episode just to that topic alone. All right.
Yeah, I could get a little wild if we go into Delta 8.
Yeah.
We could be here for a couple hours.
Gotcha. Well, guys, that about wraps it up for our Cannabis Night School. We're so glad to be back. Thank you again to Des from the Utah Patients Coalition, Susie with Empathetix, and Danielle with Eastern Utah Women's Health. Do you guys have any final parting words for the group here?
I just wanted to thank Susie and Danielle. You were both so amazing to work with.
We love Kylee. So one of the things when I work with any of my patients at Empathetix is I stress to work with the pharmacist at the pharmacy. And Utah law means you've got to do it at least once, right? But in all of the patients, especially my cancer patients who are advanced stage, I tell them you need to work with the pharmacist who will know the product that is best for you and will help you tweak it. And I can be a resource, but I do not have a PharmD. I have a master's degree in nursing. So it's a whole different approach, but it's an integrative approach. And I think the way cancer patients, any patient going through any complicated medical problem needs an integrated approach. And that means you've got social workers and doctors and pharmacists and MPs, and you have a gamut of knowledge out there. You just need to ask questions and keep asking questions until you get the answer you want. And if you don't get the answer you want, keep going. Talk to any of us. We are more than happy to help you find your way so that you can enjoy your life through chronic illness. Cancer is now a chronic illness. Way back in my early days, because I'm old, it used to be a death sentence. It was an acute illness that killed people within months to a year. Now we have so many different oncology products out there to help patients live and continue to achieve and work and be with their grandkids and raise their children. But if we can help alleviate your symptoms to where you have that piece of the puzzle, more power. Also, my parting thing is, as a practitioner with oncology patients and other chronic illness patients with palliative care, tell us what you're doing. Ask us ask us what's best. Tell us what complementary therapy you want to do, and we will help figure out if that is interfering with your medical plan of treatment or if it's complementing your medical plan of treatment. Huge difference. And Kylee could go on and on about the things that happen within the body, and so could I. But if you tell us, if you're forthright with us as practitioners, we are not going to judge you. We are going to help you and help steer you in the right direction. And that's my soapbox.
Beautiful. That's why we do this, man. We want to give our QMP partners a soapbox. So Danielle, take it away if you have anything to add.
I just have like 3 quick takeaways. Early detection saves lives.
Mhm.
We are your partner. All of us are your partners. So lean on us, dive deep, and who doesn't love free delivery? Come on, people, especially in rural America. Let's do this, right? So anyways, thank you. I've learned so much from all of you.
Wonderful. Well, thank you guys so much. This was great. We'll see everybody next month. We're going to be talking about flower specifically. So that'll be a really fun one. Yeah, everyone have a great night. Enjoy the rest of your weekend and happy Halloween. We'll see you around.